Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life.
Hey, welcome back, all you fabulous people. This is episode 153. We are doing another crypto episode. If you're not super excited about crypto, you're not doing enough research. We hear about it all the time. There's such exciting times. I obviously go through that thing where I'm like searching through Twitter going, what's the next big coin? And then I'm going to Reddit and then Discord, and there's a lot. So I do like to do these episodes to kind of, give people kind of a sneak peek and introduce them to big influencers in this space. It's an exciting time, even for somebody who's kind of feels like I've been in it for a little bit compared to the majority of folks out there. It still can be overwhelming for me. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're saying like, okay, Madison, enough with the crypto stuff, just keep listening. I'm doing it for a reason. I want everybody to make money and I want everybody to understand so they don't miss out on stuff. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. So please do your own research. This is the platform that provides you with the information so you can then dig further and see if it's right for you. So we are going to be going into some other topics because this is a podcast to occasionally make you laugh, but also to improve your life. So stay tuned for those. But today's episode is, yes, going to be crypto focused. We actually have an amazing woman coming on. Very excited. I met her actually at Ether Denver, which was a big crypto conference in Denver. This woman, she's not only beautiful, she's very smart, has met some of the most influential people in business and in this space, is constantly traveling around, speaking at events, at conferences, and we're going to kind of dive into kind of her take on the crypto markets and the futures and kind of how she got into it, how she keeps herself safe online, if she's into NFTs, all that good stuff, and kind of where she sees things going. So yes, I've done some episodes about NFTs in the past. I've also fell victim to some scams. So you guys, please be careful. Make sure, like, when you see something, sometimes they'll show up on social media where they'll look sponsored and they look very legit, and they basically just copied and changed the URL slightly. So make sure you're very careful before obviously connecting your wallet and trying to mint something that doesn't exist, because it happened to me, and I feel I'm pretty educated in this space, but it can happen to anyone. But as I always tell people, always start with like a small amount, especially when you're transferring or doing a new trade or using a new platform. And I always say, like, until you lose money in crypto, you don't understand crypto. And that's kind of how I was with NFTs. I actually just minted 3 mystical muses yesterday. So I'm very stoked about that. You guys look up that project. Amazing. You can go to OpenSea.com and find it. I actually know the founders, and we've done an episode on this, so they're finally live. So I'm totally stoked about that. But anyways, I will stop talking. Just a reminder, please rate and review us, follow us, tell all your friends about this. We have grown, and it's probably all you lovely people spreading the information. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Our fabulous guest, Aubrey Strobel. How are you? I'm so excited that you're joining us today.
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah. So you were like, for people that don't know her, you were like, kind of like, you're a crypto guru. You're like a crypto influencer. So to say, that's kind of where you broke out.
That is. It's such a weird term now to hear, like, influencer, because I never really thought of myself as an influencer. But it's not wrong, technically. Like, it is correct in many ways. So been in crypto since 2016, and I guess that makes me not OG, because I feel like that's 2013 people. That's like that class.
Yeah.
But it makes me like respected, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I think anyone that got in pre-2019 or pre-pandemic almost is kind of early, because it really wasn't until the pandemic that it became more mainstream. Like, you always heard about it, but it wasn't as mainstream until the pandemic, when people kind of really dove into it. So how did you get involved in this crypto game?
That's such a funny thing too that you just said about it being mainstream, because when you tell people that you worked in crypto I would say the last bull run, everyone looks at you like you are insane. At least your family members, because like think about going home for Thanksgiving. You can't even describe, first of all, like most of the tech to the family without them looking at you like you're absolutely insane. But then also saying that you work in it, they're just so perplexed. But actually I got into it at one of my first jobs. Actually, I think my first real actual job was in crypto. So I've been in crypto my entire career.
Wow.
And I interned at other places, but my first like full-time gig was at a PR firm called Waxman. But prior to that, I was investing in crypto as just a person, and I just thought it was interesting. It was like the markets never shut off. It made so much sense. It was
Yeah.
like, why is this? Why is there a closing bell? It didn't even make sense. So I was like, I could check the prices of, Bitcoin and other altcoins any time of the day in the middle of the night, and there was trading volume happening. I thought that was insane.
Yeah. So when you were at the PR firm, were you covering crypto companies at this time, or was this was just a side kind of hustle for you?
No, so I started there, and we basically helped companies that were in the blockchain and crypto space gain exposure and awareness. Obviously, that was its own struggle, because the media, even now, cannot really, wrap their heads around crypto in many ways. Like they're just so perplexed by it. They run with whatever narrative, and like I get it. It is hard to turn out stories, like 4 stories a day for your editor,
Yeah.
and check them and become an expert in so many areas in tech. But it's still just so bad. But basically my job was to get these companies exposures so that people could learn about these companies that were innovating in the blockchain and crypto space. And we were pretty successful at it. But trying to explain that to even reporters and all of that was crazy. So even like I worked during the ICO boom, which is so cringe and like embarrassing. And even when you were in the ICO bubble back in the day, you knew it was just such shit. But like, what were you gonna do? You like growth doesn't happen like this in the industry. It's like a lot of failures and
Yeah.
embarrassments and cringy moments, and then it eventually evens out to mainstream adoption through a lot of failures, but also successes. So
Yeah. What year would you consider the ICO boom?
2017, where it was just everyone had an uncapped supply, like stupid raises, crazy amount of raises on these tokens that never did anything, and all these founders that just disappeared basically overnight, which was pretty nuts.
Well, yeah, you see that, we saw that in the NFT space too, like all these rug pulls. But now they're going after them, thank goodness. Like you can't just start an NFT and then disappear.
Exactly. So it always just takes a different form, like all these things. It's just inventing the wheel in a different way, and the bad actors leave. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's good projects that stay. Like I think that there is good that comes from it. I'm not trying to like bash a lot of these things, but people see the opportunity to make money in a very fast-paced manner, so they're going to take advantage of that regardless of what it is, no matter what industry you're in. If anyone sees that opportunity, there are going to be bad actors that try to capitalize on that. It's like
Yeah.
human behavior.
Right. Everybody's trying to like get in and get rich as fast as they can.
Yeah.
So I know you're big into like Bitcoin, and you were at a company. Are you still there, Lolly? Or did you left, right?
I left Lolly. Well, I'm still an advisor to Lolly, but I'm not working full time as head of comms at Lolly anymore. No.
Okay, so explain to us what Lolly does for people that have not heard of them.
Yeah, so Lolly is the largest Bitcoin rewards company in the world. And basically what a Bitcoin rewards company is it allows you to earn fractions of Bitcoin when you shop online. So this was especially great during the pandemic, as people were making most of their purchases online. We've been around before that. We were popped up in 2018, and basically not everyone sees themselves as an investor. But everyone shops. Everyone is a shopper. You have to buy groceries, you have to buy plane tickets, you have to buy clothing. And so you should always be optimizing for getting the most back, whether that be credit card points, cash back, Bitcoin back. We just found that Bitcoin back is the best option to provide people. And so a lot of times people will make purchases on something and, Bitcoin's at 10,000. And then, a few years later, that purchase basically 3x's, 4x's, and that good has paid for itself now, which is really cool to see. And so, we've been just doing that. We're partnering with a bunch of different brands, Nike, Macy's, everything you can think of, from travel to Groupon to like makeup, you can get it on Lolly.
So do you go to lolly.com and then you shop through, you set up an account and shop through them? Is that how it works?
Yes. So basically the easiest way to get going with Lolly is you can download the app for iOS or Android. Okay. Super easy. Shop from your the palm of your hand, but then also you can get the browser extension, which we have for Microsoft Edge, Chrome, Firefox, all those different browsers. And basically you download that, and so then when you go to a Lolly retailer, say you're on Adidas, it'll pop up and say, do you want to earn 4% back on your purchase? And then you just say activate. It activates your shopping spree. And then once you check out, that percentage of your purchase goes into your wallet in the form of Bitcoin. So it's super easy. It's like maybe the easiest way to get involved into Bitcoin.
So when you say your wallet, like your wallet that you can choose, or like your Lolly wallet?
Your Lolly wallet. So Lolly custodies that Bitcoin for you, but you can transfer that Bitcoin out to another Bitcoin address or to your bank. So you can really do whatever you want with it. We obviously want to teach people how to self-custody and remove that off of Lolly exchanges. It's really about people owning their Bitcoin, but this is like sort of like a stepping stool, if you will, for people who are new and novice into this space, and even for people who are experts that are just trying to optimize every single shopping experience to get Bitcoin back. So we don't, there's not like a huge heavy push yet on the educational side to help them get it off, which is something that we're trying to do and create YouTube videos to explain to people how to get a cold wallet. But yeah.
Well, good. And what's your favorite cold wallet?
I personally have a Ledger, but I did work with this client called Cool Wallet S back in the day, which was like a hybrid, and I thought it was pretty cool. And I have it, but I haven't used it. So I'm not plugging anything here, but I did work with them back in the day, and I'm like, are they still around? I don't know. It could be. I just haven't ever used the wallet.
Yeah, because it's sometimes obviously like self-custody is the best way. But some people like to leave them on exchanges if they're trying to kind of go in and out of them and, hit market limit buys or sells. But I think it's overwhelming to people but it's like, just think of it as a USB. Like you've put pictures on a USB, taken it to a place to print back in the day. Like it's kind of the same thing. Yep. Just don't leave your house with it.
Yeah. I know. I think the mental thing of like, but what if I lose this? It is so, that's tough for people. And to be honest, if we're being completely fucking honest here, not everyone wants to or should, I don't know if it feels comfortable or is capable to do that yet in a really seamless way where they feel safe. Like a lot of people do like the security of the bank. They like being able to call someone and say, hey, I have a problem. Like these funds didn't hit this account, or like, can you help me with this? Because if we're being totally honest, your aunt or your uncle wants customer support most of the time. Like people can't get their internet working half the time. The country's not financially literate. We want people to like self-custody. Like, give me a break. People will in time, but I think that sometimes like crypto Twitter gets a little overboard with like everybody get off exchanges. Like people are trying their best. Some people are earning yields on it. Like people are doing what's best for them. It's not a one size fits all situation for everybody.
Well, exactly. And yeah, you do hear if you go to Twitter and you're on these following these different accounts, like, what happens if we get a, the power grid goes down, and are you going to lose everything? Is it going to come back? Like, it can be a little nerve wracking, but again, anything can happen in life. You can't live in fear. You got to just protect yourself, but also live in faith. So, but yeah, there are these
Yeah.
yields where you can put them in, CFI banks or DeFi banks and like earn on them. So I know people kind of like that. But again, if something happens to them, then they're gone. But
Yep.
you kind of got to dabble in it and kind of do what's best for you. There's different, companies or coins that have the wallets that some people like their own wallet apps,
Yep.
and, staking rewards and things like that, which you really can't do on the hardware wallets yet. But I think we might see a change in that. Who knows?
Yeah, it's all about people doing what they're comfortable with. Once people get uncomfortable and fearful, again, that's the whole thing. We're not living out of fear. This is like a hopeful, optimistic, futuristic technology that's
Yeah.
happening right now that many people around the world are adopting. And once it gets too fast, too much, then that's when you lose people. So I think we need to baby steps, breadcrumb the way forward. But I'm just like, I get very sick of the narrative of people, everyone needs to be doing the same thing because that's what we all agreed on Twitter. It's not the case, even though I do agree. It's just not where everyone feels comfortable yet. And so I think a lot of companies are working on better cold storage wallets, better key protection, all that kind of stuff, so that it doesn't feel as scary as maybe it does feel right now to some people.
Yeah, no, that's very, very well said. So what do you like? How is, besides, I know like Bitcoin's kind of your main thing, correct?
It is. It has been always. I think Bitcoin is like my North Star of just, I believe in Bitcoin the most out of all the currencies out there.
Okay. And so do you have any other ones that you're kind of interested in or hot on or invested in?
Yes, despite the Bitcoin maxis and everyone would probably be so upset about it. I do own all the people. They get crazy. They do. They're like but I think it's getting less and less of that. To be honest, the Bitcoin toxic maxi narrative. And if people are upset, also let me just say this:
Okay.
people Bitcoiners getting upset that other people own other coins is ludicrous. Number one, because if you're a Bitcoiner, you believe in freedom, you believe in free markets,
Uh,
then why are you telling anyone what they should or should not own? That's not for you to say. Like, you don't like the government reaching into your wallet, into your pocket. You should have no say about what people do. You can have opinions and say that you don't believe in these other coins for X, Y, and Z reasons. That's totally fair. Say it one time, twice, whatever, and then you're done. Like, you're done. Let people do whatever they want. That's what freedom is. Like, if you are a true freedom maximalist, Bitcoin maximalist, then you should not give a shit. Just pay attention to what's in your wallet. Why do you care about what other people are doing? I don't get that at all. At all.
Exactly. And for those of you who are like, what the hell is a Bitcoin maxi? Because maybe you're kind of still new to the space. You haven't really heard. Bitcoin maxis are basically people that are like, there's only Bitcoin and that's it. Like, that's it. There's no other shopping allowed. Like,
Yeah.
they don't think any other coin is going to do well. It's like that whole kind of narrative. So now you are educated. If you
Fight to the death on it.
yeah.
Sorry, what?
Why do you think some of these people became that way? Maybe the other markets are a little overwhelming for them. And so they're just like, let's just stick to what we know and let's not expand out.
I think Bitcoiners are very smart. I don't think it's that they're not interested in other coins or it's too much for them or DeFi or any of that stuff is like overwhelming. I think that they believe in the principles of hard money so much that they want Bitcoin to succeed. And I think there is some FOMO. Like, everything that's built on ETH is pretty exciting. Like, all the dApps, all the NFTs, all the marketplaces, it just grows faster because there's more developers and more funding over there. And so it's probably hard imagine if you're like this neighbor, just watering your grass, being patient, hoping things are happening. This other neighbors over here having like so much fun, throwing a barbecue. People are hanging out. They're like the cool kids on the block. And you're just kind of like, dang, like Bitcoin sometimes isn't super sexy in terms of like innovation. There are some really cool stuff that is happening with Bitcoin and Web3 via Stacks and some other companies. But really, if you're a Bitcoiner, sometimes, you know, it's Bitcoin and it's pretty straightforward, and it should be. That's the good thing about Bitcoin. It's straightforward. People know what they're getting when they get into it, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to be this, but then I think they envy that sometimes, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
And I consider myself a Bitcoiner too, so I understand that.
So what is your so what other altcoins do you like then?
I own a good amount of ETH. I did get into Solana. I think that was a mistake.
FOMO'd into that. That's the one coin I freaking FOMO'd. I'm just holding it at this point. I'm like, what? Little too late.
I mean, I knew better, but sometimes I've gotten into some dumb stuff. Like me and my roommate Marguerite, or coin artist, we aped into Grimace coin, lost. Like when McDonald's, I don't know what had happened a few months ago, because one day in crypto is like 10 years, but like I think McDonald's made an announcement. I don't know what they said, Grimace coin, something happened where we were like, maybe we should ape into this because it could be like the next we were just bored, honestly. We've done that, lost everything, and then I have just a bunch of alts from back in the day. They're worth like nothing. I got into Litecoin back in the day, stupid. I have just a bunch of ICO and STO tokens, but yeah, I don't really like have time to like day trade because I'm also working in the industry. But yeah,
I know it can be very overwhelming, and it's like there's so many coins. It'll be interesting to see how the next like 2 years kind of plays out. What's happening in the economy, how many of these coins, I think there's 8,000 now, are just going to go to zero and disappear, because that is going to happen.
It is. And also this narrative of WAGMI, like we're all going to make it. We're all not going to make it. Like I do want people to make it, but if we're being honest in terms of like companies and coins and projects, if you're a veteran in this space, you see people come, you see people go. Not everyone's going to make it in terms of projects. So like every NFT project, it's like, and everyone's going to the moon. Like it's just not it. And you have to, if you're just rational, you could understand that there always are winners and losers regardless.
Oh, totally. So let's talk about NFTs. What are you in the market? Do you like them? What's kind of your feeling on that?
I do like NFTs. I think NFTs are super cool. I think that the industry around it is a little cringe right now, if we're being totally honest. I own a lot of PFPs project. It's just it always gets cringy though. I kind of miss old crypto Twitter before the NFT Twitter showed up, because that's a whole other squad of people that like I don't know, like it's just every morning when it was every morning GM, I wanted to like, but like it was just overwhelming. I just don't like it. It's because it's like false community sometimes. There are real communities in the NFT space, and there's a lot of friendships that I've made and people doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's also people, like we said, that just come in or trying to make a quick buck, try to fake community and then dip out. And I don't like seeing that. But there are really cool projects. Like most of the projects that I've found, I just like either because the artist is super innovative, there's some cool storytelling, something interactive with the NFT, or a PFP project that represents me as a woman that I would like to share as my like Abby, basically. Yeah. So I haven't gotten into the gaming as much. I have like a few gaming NFTs, but nothing super crazy.
Yeah, it's a whole like, whole different animal, so to say. Like it took me a while.
It is.
I got scammed a couple times.
No.
But luckily, I always tell people, like, when you're doing anything for the first time, no matter how much you feel like you understand something, if you're using a new exchange, you're transferring to a new wallet, always do something very small that you can afford to lose, right? So
Yep.
I fell for one of those things. It came it came online, looked like it was a real project, and it was like, mint this now, backed by blah, 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 blah. I'm sure you've seen them. They always say if an NFT project is sponsored, it's usually a scam. I've learned that. So luckily I only lost, like, I think I did like 2 or 3 of them. So I lost maybe like $600, whatever. It'll offset my gains.
Yeah.
But you have to be very careful because you don't know, like, what's the legit site? Who are they? So the NFTs that I just got into are the ones that, like, my friends did, because I know where to find
Okay. Yeah.
them.
Yes. Ooh, I feel bad. That sucks. But it's not a horrible loss. Not great. But
No,
yeah,
it's
you do have
not.
to be careful.
Yeah.
Don't ever click the links. I just want to tell your viewers that don't ever click the links. I don't care what it is. I don't care who sent it to you. I don't know how closely you know them. Don't click the links of anything ever.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And what's happening was, like, I was even in the Discord channel of the actual project. And these scammers will get in, they try to catch them all, but they can't. So it's like, even if you think you're in a safe community and it's a closed community, like, you can still kind of fall for it. So don't ever try to, like, FOMO into any of these things. But yeah, everybody wants to, like, grab that, that next NFT project. You don't know what it's going to be, if it's going to go, blah, blah, blah. I always say, like, just, research the community, and also, like, you are buying this, so, and you could get stuck with it. So make sure you like it. Because it could be yours forever.
Yeah. Everything that I've bought, I've really liked. Like, I would want to own it. I could flip some things, but everything that I buy in crypto, I guess it's, for me, it's never been like, let me get rich tomorrow. That just was never the reason I got into this space. It's the reason that I'm still here.
Yeah.
And if I buy things that I think are cheap, like that, I it's just not my ethos. So I can't really relate. But there are cool projects that, yeah, of course, like, they can 10x, and that's like an amazing feeling the first time that happens for you with a coin or with a project or whatever that may be. But if you like NFTs, you should buy NFTs that you like.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's not rocket science, but, like, there are people that are here for other reasons, and that's actually fine. Like, making money and getting rich, there's nothing wrong with that. Paying off your student loans, paying your bills through, like, this new technology that enables that. That's amazing. I hope everyone can do that.
Yeah.
It's just, you got to be very careful.
Well, exactly. The whole thing, you can get rich quick, you can also get poor quick. So you have to always dabble. Like, I've bought a couple, what they're called shit coins, meme coins, but we're talking $1,200. So it was one of those bets. I felt like I was at a casino, right? When somebody told me to buy this, I said, you know what? Yeah, I'll take my chance on that. And it's fallen. It's right now, like, during the last kind of, sell off, it was down about 65%. And somebody said, are you going to sell it, at least, like, recoup some of your money? And I said, oh, no. I made a pact with myself when I bought this that I was going to ride it. So it was over 6 figures or it went to 0. That's how I gamble. I come in with the money and I say, either I keep 100,000 or I lose it all and I walk out. But that's why it's a specific amount of money. So I was like, no way, I'm going to ride this thing. It's going back up, or it could go to 0, but either way, it'll offset the gains of the profitable things. And people,
you got to check it. You got to know that you're most likely not, could lose it.
Yeah, it's like a complete, because it's a casino bet for me for that one. And then there's other projects that I really like that are more kind of long term. There's certain projects that I am long term, but I'm like, I wish I'd at least gotten some of my profits out at that point, instead of just saying, I'm just gonna hold it for 5 years type mindset. Like, it's okay to take profits, but I think you kind of learn learn through those, but I feel like they're pretty like solid projects.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, do you have a lot of people coming to you because you're an influencer in this space about new technology and new coins where you kind of get early information on these?
I am in some like really top group chats where
Nice.
some sometimes you can find out about stuff before or get whitelisted, which is like cool, but also kind of part of the problem. It's like all these people who've been in this space get really access to a lot of the best things where other people don't necessarily, but it's also like, how would you give everyone early access to every, you know, it just, it's difficult. But yeah, I mean, people do send me a lot of stuff like before they happen, like Constitution DAO. I knew about that before it was going to happen, and like just random things because they need sort of the pickup to kind of get it larger. People also reach out to me to do like sponsored posts or that stuff. I've never done a sponsored post. I never will do a sponsored post. Like,
Okay.
if I ever did a sponsored post, I must be really poor or like dying. I would never do one, but because I don't work or do anything in this space with any companies that I don't believe in. So if I'm working with a company, if I'm advising a company, or talking about a company, it's because I actually care about it and I think they're good. Because it also, my name's on the line for anything that I associate myself with now that I have grown such a presence. So
Right.
I'm even more stringent.
Yeah, and it's not like you're like a Kim Kardashian type influencer where you're hawking a skincare brand. And if people don't like it,
Exactly.
like people could actually, like, I'm not going to lose my ass if I buy Kim Kardashian Skims bikini and I hate it. But if she tells me to invest in
Exactly.
something, I lose my ass. Well, it's a totally different story.
Totally. And it's actually so interesting too, because like Kim Kardashian did try to push a shitcoin at one point, and it's like no one would listen to her anyway about like crypto. So it's almost like the influencers in crypto today have more pull on things than, you know, of a star that big in this space. Like they're just, you have, if you've worked in this space long enough, if you talk about this technology, if you understand it, more people will engage, like, listen, you know, not to say everyone's going to ape into your project, but there's much more influence on crypto Twitter than I think there is in with A-list celebrities sometimes with finance and tokens and tech, which is
Yeah.
insane.
No, completely. And so I have to ask you this because you've been in this business and you've talked and you still talk at a lot of big events, like crypto events, and you are up there with some of the most brilliant minds in the business. So you should be very proud of yourself. I'm sure you are. It's extremely impressive, and go girl. But like, who's the most fascinating person you've met so far? Like in this whole event?
What?
Like, who's the most fascinating person that you've met?
Oh God, I don't know if I can give the real answer for this one. um, um, there's a lot of really cool people I've met through this space. It's hard to just like name one person because there's so many interesting people. I've met basically everyone in most respects. I'm trying to think of someone I haven't met. And then I've met a lot of people in like in the mainstream celebrity influencer world as well, which is crazy because now I'm kind of bridging over with a lot of creators, which is cool. I never thought that was going to be a trajectory, starting off from PR and comms at an agency to like becoming an influencer and a creator, and also interacting with a lot of those people. So that's been really interesting, and something that I don't know if a lot of this was sped up through the pandemic and just people being online more, and therefore people growing a presence faster or quicker than they normally would, or what, and also the bull market helped. But it's definitely been a crazy ride. I've met so many interesting, great, fascinating people over the past 2 years.
Yeah, because you've spoken with some of the kind of big names in this business, right? Like, was it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Mike Novogratz one of the? You were on a panel with him, and like Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, Mike Novogratz is great. Jack's great. They're all great. Michael Saylor, really,
Yeah.
all the top people. Met them all, either virtually or in real life. So yeah, I'm trying to think of someone like I have not met yet, and it's hard to pinpoint anybody.
Have you met Elon Musk yet?
But I've not met Elon, but I don't consider him crypto yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Until he fully like get. I mean, he's a big Doge enthusiast, but half the time I think he's just joking. Like, I'm not sure. He's like trolling everyone and pumping the price, which is fine, except for it totally flopped on SNL. So.
Well, I know, and everyone thought, like, I think a lot of people thought, like, oh, when he goes and he talks about it, it's going to have a big run. Well, it had kind of the opposite effect.
Yeah, actually, I was like, I kind of felt like that was going to happen. Also, why does this always happen? Every conference, any big industry event, all the coins are down every time, except for maybe right now going into Bitcoin 2022. Bitcoin's doing, I don't know what it's at right now. Let me see.
Is it in the 40s?
No, well, it's at 47. It's at 47. No, I'm almost at 48. But
yeah.
Usually it's always taking like a straight nosedive right before an industry conference. I always think it's so funny.
I know. Maybe people are selling off so they can, have money on the sidelines if they learn about something. Who knows? I feel like you can't
exactly. I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's like you can't even predict it. But yeah, this is amazing. So you go to a lot of these conferences, and how are they? Like, because ETH Denver, where I met you at the NFT party, that was a very different experience for me. But everyone's like, oh, this is so different from the Bitcoin conference. Like, the Bitcoin conference and the ETH conference are like night and day. I mean,
why do you say it was a different experience?
I think I was expecting a little more of an upscale event, not so much more like a developer. And it was so crowded. All the bathrooms were broken. But I gotta say, it was like the nicest people ever. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody was so sweet, so open, like wanting to learn, wanting to teach. It was like, minus the bathroom situation, it was a ton of fun. But everyone kept telling me, like, oh no, the Bitcoin, like, even the people look different at the Bitcoin conference, and it's like more kind of upscale and blah blah blah. So it was interesting.
I don't know if the Bitcoin conference is upscale. First of all, it's like a little, well, I don't know. Last year was so hot. They had it in June. Don't know why. In Miami, like maybe the worst decision of all time.
Yeah.
It was early June, but it was hot. So there's something interesting, I think, that will be studied in the future, talking about like the political spectrums of different coins. And there's been studies and research done on this already, where people stand politically. Like, most people that are in the ETH community are a little bit more progressive and innovative, which is interesting because ETH has a lot of innovation and progress in terms of like the way its design is, and in Bitcoin it's a little bit more conservative and traditional, and it is actually that way as a coin as well. So it's kind of interesting to see that actually play out, and therefore the people, the way they identify, the way they dress, look different. Sorry, I don't know why someone's ringing their doorbell right now. No one's supposed to be here, so can you hear that?
What's going on? Wait, do you have stalkers yet?
I don't yet. This could be no, I don't know. I have no idea. Sometimes we just hit a button and then it's like not the right place. But the conferences are honestly a bunch of parties. I don't know if everyone goes and sits and learns. At the ETH Denver conference, they definitely do. At the Bitcoin conference, they go to like 2 to 3 things, network, shake hands, and then everyone's partying the entire time. Like I am going down there with Meltem and a few other friends, and I'm looking at all the invites and things I'm going to go to, and I'm like, doesn't seem doable. Seems like too many parties.
Yeah.
And I actually don't like a lot of the big parties. It sucks. I like a small dinner with 20 people. That's not small, but in crypto conference land, 20 people would be small.
Yeah, right. So I mean, but I've heard it's a ton of fun. Like people were telling me, like, you gotta go, but I don't think I'm gonna make
So you're
it.
not gonna go? No.
I don't know. Maybe I should. Who knows? I
don't know. I kind of don't want to go in some ways, and then in other ways. A conference, you were always wrecked after. I think I got COVID twice at 2 conferences, and I was like, I don't even want to go anymore. Like, why would I? Because you're shaking hands. Who knows if people wash their hands? I don't know. And it's kind of gross. And then you're on 0 sleep, and you're in a new city, and you're staying at some random hotel, and that is the combination for a sickness to be born. But I'm excited for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, it's like those conferences, that's what they're meant for, really, is to kind of learn, but really for people to kind of meet each other in the business. And it's like such a fast growing kind of, space that it's, that it is exciting in that kind of, those terms. But what would your advice be for people that are kind of new and want to learn the game?
Get on crypto Twitter and learn the culture, because I don't think this is talked about enough, and this is why I'm going to be potentially launching a podcast in the future that it focuses more on culture, because that is what crypto Twitter is. That is what it lives and breathes, this market. I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes on Discord channels, but like I don't think there is a faster community or group of people on the internet than crypto Twitter that mobilizes as quickly in seconds, in minutes. Like, there's something, what was the bill that came out? Oh, it was the taxing of Bitcoin mining or any sort of type of crypto mining last year. There was a bill that was being put forth, and how quickly crypto Twitter mobilized petitions and calling their senators was unparalleled to anything I've ever seen. Where the spread of information is so quick. It's crazy. Like, there's so much power in crypto Twitter, and the culture and the people and the accounts, and people just don't even understand that yet.
Oh, absolutely. But I think people get overwhelmed sometimes because there are so many different kind of accounts to follow. But you could also find a few people that you really like in the space, is kind of what I've done a little bit, and then follow the people that they're following, because they probably are. That's probably a good kind of like who to follow type thing. Like, go to your favorite and then see who they're. So that's kind of a good way to kind of get
100%
there. But it is funny. I'm following a lot of these people online, and it's funny. Like, some of these tweets I read, I'm like, they just literally tweeted something to tweet something. Like, there's no meaning behind this. And the other thing that bothers me, and I think it's stupid and it makes you unsafe, is when people go on Twitter and they're like, I just put $100,000 into X coin or whatever. I'm like, why would you announce that to a public space? It's like being like, look at I just went to the ATM. Here's the balance in my checking account. That's
so weird.
I'm like, you're putting yourself at like extreme risk when you do that. So don't talk about the amount of money you make in trades or how much money you're trading in it. Like, keep yourself a little bit safe.
Yeah. The coolest people that I've met are in crypto Twitter. One of the coolest people I've met is not on crypto Twitter, but like is at the conferences. I actually met ETH Denver, and is just so smart, so brilliant, and like is not on Twitter, not flexing, doesn't need the clout. Like, got into like CryptoPunks at like 60. I don't even know how much it was at the time, and like at the floor, it was like $67 worth of ETH per punk at the time. It was crazy. It was stupid. And those are like the people that don't need to flex it. I also, it's like put a screenshot of your wallet on there so people know to come attack you. I get most of the time they're doing it on a non-account, but I don't give a shit. Like, that's stupid. It's like just causing more problems when you could just be quiet. But people just need that validation of like, oh, you're rich, you're cool, you're this person, you're that. Stupid. But I mean, there's a lot of stupidity out there. I don't know. I don't mean to rip. I feel like I'm so pessimist on this podcast. I'm like, I'm not really a pessimist. I'm really a relentless optimist, but I'm like ripping on so many things right now.
Yeah, no, it happens because you do see, but again, there's always going to be bad actors. There's going to be people that come in and they're kind of flash in the pants. But it's interesting. Like I like how crypto changed the face of finance. Do you know what I mean? Because like when I first started my career, before I went into like the entertainment side, I was actually a bond trader on Wall Street. And it was just, I remember like going to Brooks Brothers and shopping for my wardrobe. And now I'm like, I wouldn't step foot in Brooks Brothers. No offense, Brooks Brothers, but like, come on. And I was
Brooks Brothers is down on this announcement.
Yeah. Like I was in these button ups and these khaki pants, pleated, they weren't pleated, but like, dress pants and the belt.
Yes.
Just
so bad. The Midtown uniform. Uniform.
But
so bad.
Changed the face of that completely. So where it's like, it's not so stuffy and suit and tie and like Wall Street bro.
Yes.
Which I like,
It's so much better. Everyone looks so much better because of crypto. You might not think that, but there was a time in New York. It's so crazy to even think about this. And this is a little bit of the pandemic too, and the fact that people can work remotely now. But there was a time, like I can't imagine this now actually.
Okay.
That I had to be in an office at 9 a.m., sometimes earlier, and work a full day in the worst outfit with flats and just like the most uncomfortable, like work appropriate dress, and just miserable, like throughout the year, and shuffling all your stuff in your bag through the subway and like upstairs and waiting for the elevator, going up 16 floors, coming back for lunch. It was like the most miserable existence. I just want to say, Gen Z, you're welcome for everything that every other generation had to endure, or even just like sitting in the car in traffic for 3 hours. People used to do that all the time and waste their life. And now I wake up and I'm like, what time do I gotta wake up tomorrow? Like, not that early. Oh, I'm gonna sleep in. Oh, I'm gonna go work out early. Oh, I'm gonna do this. Like, I can do basically whatever I want at whatever time now. And that's all because of crypto and because of the world. But I'm so much more grateful for that than having to wear whatever was work appropriate, or I can wear whatever I want now. Like, no one's going to tell me not to wear something.
Well, and it's interesting because as the world is opened back up, there's a lot of companies that are sending their workers back to this miserable existence that you just described. And there's people that are still doing it, but they're kind of trapped in this whole cycle. But then there's companies like that who are so desperate for employees and they're short staffed. Well, maybe you should change your culture. This is why
totally. People will go out elsewhere. The market will speak for itself. If I was a like headhunter, HR person, or recruiter, I would go on LinkedIn and look at all the companies that are like making their employees go back in office and poaching them. And then what? Then you lost your talent because you couldn't you wanted to treat. To be honest, working in New York in a finance job or any touch of like finance, and working that 9 to 5 pre the pandemic was straight up like a elevated babysitter service of sorts. Like, adults were chained to their desks. Like, people had so much anxiety for nothing. It's like, I want to go get a coffee. Like, you were almost so much in fear, like, people might not think I'm working. I need to go get you need to get some fresh air for 5 seconds. God forbid you left your desk and you weren't typing out an email.
Right.
Like, what? What was that? Like, then you have like a manager breathing down your like neck, and you just feel like, okay, mostly this is open. What I'm referring to here is open office spaces. Cubicles were better. Open office, the worst thing to happen to like the workforce, because everyone could see what everyone's doing and you're just distracted. People think they can come talk to you. Like, it was just the worst. It was the absolute worst.
I know. Well, it's kind of interesting how I feel like that was a new thing, was like this open office space so people could collaborate easier. That was their whole mentality behind it. But then the pandemic hit and they were like, oh shit, that didn't work. Now we need to like put up all these barriers and people have to be protected and they need to be spaced out. So it was like, it totally backfired in a way that nobody could have seen coming.
I think that they called it like collaborative and more efficient because people just didn't want to pay the rent for these, whatever square feet for a place that could give everyone their own desk and unique workspace. Like it was a huge rebrand from like people like, oh, it's collaborative. Like, well, no, not everyone works that way. A lot of people need to work in silence. Not people want the Sonos blasting and then someone's coming through with like snacks. It's like, this isn't what is this? Honestly, we're going to look back at work culture and be like, what was going on? It's like, we have a foosball table. We have snacks. It's like, I don't want a foosball table and I don't need snacks.
You're like, I want to work from my home and whatever I'm wearing.
Pay me more. Yeah. Let me wear sweats and pay me more. Take that money and pay your employees more. Give them better benefits. Be a real employer. This isn't a fun park. People are adults. They're going to be babysat.
Well, especially like a city like you're in, and I'm eventually going to come back to, I was there for a while and then left during the pandemic. New York, we were just talking before we got online of how crazy the rents are in New York. Like they're up like higher than they were pre-pandemic when the crime was down. And it's like, what is going on, right? Are they making up for lost time? Are they trying to lock people in before the massive recession comes? I mean, what are we trying to make money before we get nuked? Who knows? Like what's going on? But if you're an employer in New York City, you have to pay your people or they're just not going to live. They can't afford to live there.
Well, plus inflation. So you better be, if you're an employer, you better be paying your employees more than you were last year. And you also need to take in consideration that living costs have increased significantly. Like making six figures in New York doesn't cut it the way it used to in New York City. I'm sorry. You actually probably couldn't live alone. You probably have to get a roommate at six figures. I mean, in Manhattan, not saying that you couldn't go to Astoria or Brooklyn or whatever and find something, but there's no studio apartment that's not going with utilities and everything, whatever, that's going to be, and that's comfortable. That's going to be like even in below 2000 or in whatever range. If you want to save money and after you get taxed like 30%, like get out of here. It's crazy. So it's not great in New York right now. If only we had someone that could just come in and change it all. But we just got the new mayor, Eric Adams, which I actually met the night he was found out that he was going to become mayor. And so we were like taking shots and like drinking, like, honestly, it was pretty drunk. But I was like, Eric, or Mr. Mayor, sorry. Mr. Mayor, why, why, like, I was like, you took the one thing away from this city that like really united us. And we were like in this trapped elevator with like 10 other people. And it was just got so quiet. We're like, what is she about to say? And I was like, Democrats, Republicans, everyone agreed. Like we all hated de Blasio so much. And now what are you going to do? And he's like, I'm going to come back and unite with love, and had like such a great politician answer. But it was just such a funny moment. But he, like, I don't see a lot of change, TBH, so far in the city. Like crime's up. I haven't taken the subway personally, and I don't remember the last time I took the subway. Potentially like 5 or 6 months, which is a privilege for me, but not a reality for everyone else. Like people were getting pushed in front of the subways. Like the subways look awful. Like it's not good.
Yeah. And that's
again, I'm being this like this rain cloud on this podcast. I swear to God, crypto's great. New York City is amazing. Everyone should move here and get into crypto. I'm sorry. I'm totally like not sold anything.
What she's really trying to say is there's a lot of opportunity in crypto, and this is a good chance to educate yourself in this space so you don't have to work these terrible rat races, and you don't have to live with roommates and in studios. Everybody, when I come on and I talk about, and I know I've been hammering the crypto thing, and there's so many crypto people coming on, I do it, as I said in the introduction, because I want people to learn. Again, this is not financial advice. This is not a financial podcast. I'm not a financial advisor. I want you to learn so you can better your life, right? We do everything from
Yes.
skincare, from crypto to mental health to relationships. Like, we want everyone to be rich, but at the same time, there's shit that happens. So she's not being pessimistic, she's being a realist.
Yes.
So
I hope
prepare
it comes off realist. Yeah, I'm being a realist. I just like to tell it like it is. I mean, if New York was great, I would say New York was great. And to be honest, I live in a good neighborhood of New York. I live in the Upper West Side, and it's like right by Central Park, and it's really nice. I guess I shouldn't say that on here. People are gonna know where I live. But
you're moving, so you're fine.
Okay. I'm moving, so I won't be here by the time this probably airs. But yeah, I mean, I have a good experience here, but I hear and know about other people's experiences until it's like great for everyone, then it's not really great for me. Or, I think we need to talk about it in order to fix it. But I don't know. Politics is just, we're not sending our best is all I'll say.
No.
On any level.
And I think that's why people really like crypto though too, is because it kind of kept the politicians away. Like, they screwed everything else up on both sides with the dollar, the whole thing at the Fed, pulling us off the gold standard, could go on and on and on and on. And then came this amazing, kind of deflationary asset where people are like, wow, the politician, like Bitcoin, can't fuck with it. They can't make more of it to make it less valuable. Holy shit, we're in on this, right? So this was like a way for people to have their freedom, to not have to worry about these overlords kind of, ruining the money they have or potentially taking their money. So that's why I think this crypto boom kind of really took off, is people got scared of the government overreach of what was happening and how much power these people actually had that we didn't think they did. And I think that's what people kind of started really like educating themselves and leapfrogging into this industry, which provided such a safe haven. It's like these people in other countries with dictators, how they basically could lose everything. And you had all these foreign people coming to New York, buying these $100 million apartments because they didn't have a safe place to put it in their country because it could be taken by their dictator. So that's why they were doing this, right? So people are like, why are they buying all this? With Bitcoin, I love, and I've said on other podcasts, you can stick it on your ledger, memorize your words, burn it, or shove it up your ass and leave. So it kind of, it's a safer way. You could fuck yourself with your own money in a good way.
Yeah.
So I think
you said it perfectly. I mean, I think that another narrative that we're not talking about is there's this generational behavioral understanding of tradition and institutions. And like, the news used to come in the newspaper, and your parents, your grandparents would pick it up, and they believed that. They believed whatever was printed there, the newspaper said it, so it's true, it's been factually checked. And that is something that has a learned behavior. And the bank said this, so it's true. The church said this, so it's true. The government said this, so we have to do it. Like this, these are the rules. And crypto is like, wait a second, what about the individual? What if the individual thought for itself? What if and it's not even telling you what to think or what to do. It's just like, that there is an option to do something else, and I think that's interesting, because it's harder in terms of identity to get away from just having a lack of identity, a lack of a job title, a lack of a religion, a lack of a profession. Or take instance like college sports teams. That is something that is oddly really how people identify themselves. Like if you look in the deep south of America, the SEC, those schools, it's like people like ride for their school, their city, whatever that is. That's a huge part of identity. You strip that away, it's like, well, now this is all I've been told my whole life. I'm this fan, I'm from this town, I have to do this, I have to go to this school, I have to whatever. And if you look at yourself without all those extra labels and barriers, and you can have interest, but like, what are you yourself interested in, or what do you actually want to do? do you want to listen to these rules that the government's told you? Do you want to, I mean, for most of the part of us, I mean, for most of the time we have to, because there are laws. If you don't obey them, you go to jail. But can you own things that the government doesn't touch, that you have full ownership over, that allows you to be more free? Yeah, that feels good to me. The fact that like I have something that is mine and I own it. And that's why digital assets, Bitcoin, NFTs are interesting to people, because it enables a different part of identity that doesn't stem in society. It stems in, what am I interested in? What do I want to own? How does that make, what does that, my digital wallet, my digital identity look like in the future? So that's cool to me.
Yes. But I want to make sure, because I want to get your input on this before we go. I wasn't even going to bring it up, but now that you said digital identity, so that can be misconstrued. So I think that people that maybe aren't as familiar in this space, or just kind of learning it, you've heard of the central bank digital currencies. These are bad.
Mm-hmm.
These are not good. This is not the digital identity we are talking about. So we want to make sure that it's clear. If you have an opportunity to vote against this, please do. Because I'll have you talk about this, like having our money turned into like a central bank digital currency, like how horrible that will be. It basically will give them control over our lives. So these are not like the cryptos we're kind of talking about.
Yeah, exactly. A digital currency produced by a government or a central bank digital currency, a CBDC as they're called, basically gives the government potentially more power over every single transaction that you would make. And so right now, people talk about crypto and like, oh, there's so much fraud, there's so much, drug, all that, like the narratives that they always try to spend, like people are transacting because they're human trafficking, drugs, all this stuff is being done on that. Actually, if you're transacting for those reasons, there's a stored ledger of all those transactions from wallet this to wallet that. So it's like, no, actually what's more of a safe, like basically privacy is if you just owned cash outright and you were just spending cash here and spending cash there. No, there's no ledger on cash. And so
right, and more bad stuff happens with cash, which is why almost, what is it, 95% of dollar bills have traces of cocaine on them?
Is that a stat? I believe it.
I think it is. Like the majority of the money you touch has cocaine on it.
I believe it.
Yeah,
especially in New York. Also, so yeah, like you can think about it in this like negative way too. It was like only bad things are happening with cash, but you can also think about it as like, I just want to use cash because I don't want the government to know what I'm doing. Why does the government have to know how I spend my money?
Yeah,
like, that's the government's money, because the government owns the dollar, not you just use it to facilitate value. And so basically, if they created a CBDC, they can already reach into your bank account, number one. Like if you don't pay taxes or whatever, like the government already has access to your bank accounts, but it would just be so much worse for privacy for the individual. And really, you have a right to privacy. And so you would just have less of that. And the government, again, just like the dollar, they can print infinite amounts of the dollar. They would basically have an uncapped supply of a US dollar digital currency, and that would suck. So vote against it if it's possible, because it really infringes on your freedoms as an American.
It totally does. But I'm just wondering if we're going to have the ability to even vote on it, or if it's just going to somehow come into circulation. I think there's a lot. It
could, to be honest, it could.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, how do you avoid that? I think what will happen is maybe employers will say, like, come work for us. We won't vaccinate you and we won't pay you with that. We'll pay you with your crypto choice. And that could be a way to kind of lure people, maybe.
Yeah.
There's totally freedom. You can do whatever you want. If you want to get paid in this, that's your choice. But you can choose. You just don't know. I just keep faith. I mean, I'm definitely like God, I just pray that he's going to take care of us all and we're going to be fine, and try not to live in fear because it's the devil talking. Yes. Faith, but to also be knowledgeable so you can protect yourself. So tell everybody thank you. Tell everybody where they can find you, because I love I follow you on all the socials. I love your stuff. So keep it up.
Thank you. It's at Aubrey Strobel, just like my name. And if you do follow me and you see a bunch of random spammy accounts that look like my name follow you after, it's probably a scammer. I just want to say that. So don't be
I had one of your
alarmed.
spam accounts follow me back. And I was like,
this so bad. They're like so creepy and weird, and they're like, how's your trade going? And you're not, you never told them you were making a trade. So just don't. But anyways, the point is, it's at Aubrey Strobel on all social media, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, well, this is great. Well, I'm so honored that you took time out of your schedule to sit down with me. I'm very excited. I've been a fan of yours, and I was happy that I got to meet you at ETH Denver, and hopefully I get to see you again soon. I'll tell you next time I'm in New York.
Yes, this was awesome. This is actually one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done. It's been so conversational and fun. And sometimes I get on some of these podcasts and they're not the best, but this was great. I love this.
Oh, well, thank you. Tell all your friends.
I will.
Listen to Next to Madison.
I will.
Thank you. You are welcome. And thanks to everybody who tuned in. I love you all. And we'll see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.